Alright, what's going on, you guys? Let's go ahead and talk about Xbox in this video. I feel like this is way overdue on my part. I'm sure it's no secret about, me feeling certain kinds of ways about Xbox, but we're gonna get into that in a second. I just want to first start out with the news about Microsoft moving their E3 conference to the day before they usually do it, because they usually have the conference on Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Now it's going to be the day before on Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. This came as a surprise, but it makes a lot of sense. I think this is a good move for them. It kind of gives them that whole day to themselves. It gives them that whole day for the media to cover the Scorpio and everything else that is announced. And they don't have to worry about Sony coming in and kind of cannibalizing it and taking over and just kind of, making people forget. So, it gives them that whole day to do this. And then not only that, but people are usually home on Sundays. For the most part, I assume that a lot of people don't work on Sundays. So this is a lot more accessible to them and they can be able to watch this thing. So it's good for Microsoft and for the fans. The only thing that was disappointing was when Microsoft announced this. They used that infamous Scorpio picture, that picture of the insides, the hardware picture. Right? You guys have seen it, I'm sure, many, many times. That let us know that this E3 is mostly going to be about the Scorpio. And I have long felt that they should do an event prior to E3, just discussing the hardware, showing it off, letting us know what it's called, what it looks like, all of that stuff. I felt like they could have done that, maybe a month before or something. And that could still happen, but it's not looking that way. It's looking like E3 is going to be the place to see Scorpio. And naturally, this is going to make us wonder about the games or lack thereof. So yeah, when it comes to E3 and Microsoft and Xbox in general, I feel like this E3 is very important for myself personally. This E3 is really going to make or break a lot of things for me. Because if you follow me even remotely on here on YouTube, you know that I have an Xbox One. I'm sure you know that I have my gripes with it and I have my complaints. And then if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that even more so, because I do like to, in a joking way at times, I will kind of vent my frustrations with Xbox. I sometimes get frustrated with their marketing. I sometimes get frustrated with the fact that, games like Cuphead don't have a release date and just things like that. So if you do follow me there, you're probably well aware that I've been frustrated with Xbox for a long time. So we're going to talk about that, okay? And I'm going to kind of give you my reasoning why, because there's a lot of people that I'm sure they're going to say, I'm just a hater. I've been receiving comments like that for a long time. They just try and say that I'm a neutral or I can't even say that with a straight face. I'm a filthy neutral to these people that, I'm an undercover Sony fangirl and all this stuff. It doesn't happen daily, but every once in a while I'll get those comments and they just make me laugh. But I wanted to still do this video, despite probably getting those comments, because, when it comes to the Xbox, I was a huge fan of the 360. And if you go back to my old videos, that's where I founded this channel. I was posting, Call of Duty back when it was good. I was posting Gears of War. I was always on the 360. That was my system. And when I think about the 360, because I've been doing that recently, I think it's because of all the backwards compatible news, all these games coming to backwards compatibility. It makes me think about those games. It makes me think about that system. It makes me think about the 360. So I've been thinking about it and just how accessible it was, how easy it was to use. When it came to the UI, it was clean, especially towards the end. I mean, it just felt like the 360 did so many things right when it came to multiplayer, when it came to just, jumping in and out of parties, playing with your friends and things like that. And when I would compare that experience to the PS3, because I used to play on the PS3 when The Last of Us came out, that was kind of the game that brought me to the PS3 more often. I felt like that UI was slow. I felt like the controller was funky. So that didn't really feel natural. When it came to, chatting with people or messaging people, adding people, that felt slow. So I felt like the 360 just did all of that right. And on top of it, had a lot of games. So, the 360 was great. And when we come to the Xbox One, I constantly ask the question, what the hell happened? It almost felt like they went 20 steps back. I remember when the Xbox One just launched. And of course, there's going to be launch problems. A lot of these have been fixed, but the party chat was terrible. The, jumping into games was terrible. There were so many issues. The UI was messy as hell. Still is, in my opinion. I don't care how many times they've fixed it. I still have my complaints. I feel like I still have to go to Google just to freaking look up, how to do things. That's a problem. That's really bad. So going from the 360 to the Xbox One, I was frustrated as hell with these things. I was just constantly thinking, what the freak happened? And now, for many of us Xbox One owners, we're kind of in an awkward position right now. A lot of us are not playing our Xbox Ones. They're just sitting there collecting dust. I've seen it amongst people on Twitter. I've seen it amongst my friends like on YouTube. And it's happening. Okay, even my family and friends in the real who loved the 360 as much as I did, they want nothing to do with the Xbox One. Part of it is the games, I'm assuming, because, when it comes to Microsoft and the Xbox brand, they're known for having the big three, Forza, Gears, and Halo. And those big hitters have come out already. Especially last year, we had a Forza and a Gears. So now we're kind of in this, transition between and looking elsewhere, looking at what else is there to play. And with Fable gone, that was another big hitter, we're looking at action RPGs and thinking, okay, what do you got, Microsoft? Because right now, I'm in a huge action RPG frenzy. I've been playing Neo like crazy. You guys know this. I'm into Dark Souls. I'm into those kinds of games. And so Microsoft doesn't really have anything to offer me when it comes to that. They don't have anything exclusive to make me think like, man, I really got to play that, because that's just the vibe I'm in right now. I want to play some Souls-like games. Not only that, but I want to play story-driven games. When I look at the new God of War and the new take they're having on that series, that franchise, my eyes are big. I want to play that thing. I'm looking at The Last of Us 2, hyped as heck. When it comes to these games that Sony are providing right now, I can't help but think that, damn, they really get those stories down. They really give me something to look forward to. Horizon Zero Dawn is around the corner. That's another one. And not to mention, Bloodborne is also on the PS4. That's all I gotta say. So to be quite honest, Microsoft just comes up short when it comes to these new experiences that just bang. These new story-driven experiences, these action RPG experiences, these games that have everybody talking. They just don't have that right now. We can only play the big three for so long, Microsoft. We can only have that magic for so long. And right now, the games that are kind of the face of Xbox One for what's to come is Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Crackdown. Like, those are kind of the main three that we know about. So yeah, a lot of us are just worried, and we just don't see it as very appealing. And I feel like Microsoft, with the Xbox One, I feel like they're going on this path that I don't necessarily want to follow. And just kind of hear me out on this, okay? I'll try and explain it the best I can. When I think about the Xbox One, and I look at Sea of Thieves, and I look at State of Decay, which I think is a multiplayer game, right? I could be wrong on that. Let's just stick to Sea of Thieves, okay? It's kind of like this MMO kind of, game where you team up with your friends, and it seems like that's where the fun is at. You can't play this game alone. At least that's what it looks like. That's what they're kind of pushing. That, you're going to team up with your friends and just go about in this world, and you're going to, get treasure and things like that. It seems like Xbox is taking this route of like MMO multiplayer focused games. And I don't want to go that way. I just don't. I feel like Microsoft is lacking some big hitting, narrative driven action games and things like that. And until they show me otherwise, and that's why I really hope E3 is big for that, I'm just going to feel this way about it. I'm just going to think like, okay, this is where they're going. And I can understand it. Like, I get it. I know Destiny's big. I know that, League of Legends and stuff like that is big on PC. I could see why Microsoft is kind of like looking at that and thinking, okay, that formula works. I get it. but that doesn't mean I have to like it. So that's just kind of where I feel like Microsoft is going. I also start to think that, okay, they're starting to transition onto PC. I feel like they want to compete with Steam and things like that. That's the vibe I get. And I totally understand why. Like, I get why they would do that. They're Microsoft, right? I mean, it makes sense. But at the same time, as an Xbox One console owner, it starts to not make sense for me to own it. You guys get what I'm saying? Because when I think back to the 360, I think back to all those games that they had. Fable, for example. I loved Fable 2. That was one of my favorite games on the 360 because it was like an action RPG. It had some kind of like risque kind of stuff going on. You could do like these relationships with people. I got to like create my character, and it was just a cool game. You know, I really liked Fable 2. Love it. I still have it. And so when they, canceled the next Fable and it seems like Fable is no more, that was a huge hit to me. I was like, wow, no more Fable. That's bad. That happened. And then they canceled Scalebound, which was a game that I thought, was going to be unique and different and something that I really wanted on the Xbox One. Got that canceled. And on top of it, Cuphead still doesn't have a release date. That's an indie game, a freaking indie game that is kind of in the forefront now for me. That's like the most wanted game I want. And it's an indie game. And the more I think about that, I was thinking about that this week, I'm hanging on to an indie game. That is the number one game I want on my Xbox One. And when I start to think about it that way, it hits me like, damn, something's wrong. This is not right. So it's just been very disappointing for me. I just feel like, Xbox does have games, right? I'm not saying they don't. It's just that the games that are coming are just not appealing to me. And that could just be my own issue. But I know a lot of people are going through this as well. I know I'm not alone. And it's not just, lack of games I want, but it's also just the frustration I have with the console itself. The UI is so bad. All of those bad first impressions that I had up front, I'm still trying to recover that with this system. Like, I'm still trying to work on, forgiving that. It's like I have this resentment. When you start off on a bad foot with the system and it's just clunky to use, it's just slow at times, and the updates take forever and a day. They still haven't improved that stuff. I feel like it's just bad. I mean, they might improve little things here and there, but if you couple, the bad UI and you take, just the frustration with all of that and add that to the frustration of no games that I want, I mean, why am I doing this to myself? I just think to myself, like, okay, should I not have this system? Like, that's why I feel like this E3 is like a make or break. I feel like it's super important for me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I just feel like they need to come bring it. They need to show some games that have something that I want, something I want to play. And the Scorpio itself, if some people have asked me if I'm going to buy it, right now I'm saying no, because I just don't see myself jumping for joy over hardware. It has to have games. And at that, it has to be exclusive for that console. Because if I can have the option to get these games on PC, or they are going to be on the Xbox One if I just don't want to be on console, what's the point? I felt this way about the Pro. This might be much stronger than the Pro, so maybe it's a bad example, but with the Pro, the PS4 Pro, I didn't buy that either because I just didn't feel like anything forced me to do it. So if the Scorpio comes out and they have exclusive big hit titles that look amazing, and they're like, oh, you can only play this on the Scorpio, then fine, we'll go from there. But until that happens, I'm skeptical. I'm thinking, okay, these games are going to be across other platforms. So there's really no need for me to run out and go buy this thing immediately. So right now at this moment, if you want to ask me if I'm buying the Scorpio, I'm going to tell you no. Depending on E3, that could change, obviously. It depends what they show. I'm excited at the possibility of some really cool games. I think Phil Spencer has been tweeting about it. He's been saying there's going to be new IPs and things like that. He's been kind of teasing and hinting about that. I hope he's right. I hope they're not just like these MMO, like kind of multiplayer things. I want some good stories. I want some good like action games. I want something that's going to like just make me fall out of my seat, That's what I want. And I don't want Microsoft to fail with this thing. I don't want Xbox One to fail. I don't want the Scorpio to fail. I don't want any of that. And even if I don't buy it, I don't want any of that. I want the industry to be just like booming all the time. I want everything to be good. I want the Switch to be good. I want PS4 to keep bringing the games. I want the Xbox One to bring some games. I want, PC to have games. I want games everywhere. So many games that I don't know what to play because there's so many. That's the problem I want. And I've been having it with the PS4. There's been games that just keep coming out. And it's like, damn, how am I going to play all this? But it's a good problem to have. It's what it's all about. This is what gaming is all about and what makes it so much fun and, satisfying. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now, you guys. Like, I, have been disappointed with the Xbox One. You guys know that. And I'm just looking for them to rebound and kind of, bring me in a little bit. But it's going to take a lot. I feel like this E3 is just probably the most important E3 ever for Xbox, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it's good they moved their conference to Sunday. I'm all for it. Good on them. And we'll see what happens. So let me know what you guys think about this. How do you feel about Xbox, moving their conference to the day before? How do you feel about the Scorpio? Or are you excited and thinking you're going to just buy the Scorpio no matter what? Or are you feeling like me, where this is a huge E3, where it's going to make or break your situation with Xbox? Let me know, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace.